What's up, everyone? It's your boy Wild Bill hitting you back up, and today we're going to be taking a look at the AFC North. We're starting things off with Cleveland Browns. Browns last season started off very slow, but really started to pick things up towards the end of the season. They went on a four-game winning streak to end the season, including a win over Pittsburgh, and ended up finishing 5-11. This team, they've gone through a bit of changes in the offseason. For one, they've gotten rid of both of their top two quarterbacks from last season. They traded Brady Quinn to Denver, and Derek Anderson left for Arizona in free agency. In their place are they acquired Seneca Wallace from Seattle, and they signed Jake Delhomme from Carolina. So it's probably going to be those two battling for the number one spot. It's probably going to be Jake Delhomme getting the start. Seneca will be the backup, and in a few years, look for Colt McCoy to become the starting quarterback. McCoy, of course, is the Browns' third-round pick this season. Their first-round pick, of course, was cornerback Joe Hayden out of Florida, and he should compete for playing time. But one guy to watch out for as far as their draft picks is their second-round pick, and that's Montero Hardesty, the running back out of Tennessee. I expect this kid to get at least half the carries, if not most of the carries, and take carries away from Jerome Harrison, despite the fact that Harrison had a very nice end of the season. The last few games of the season, Harrison, unbelievable, including about 270 yards against Kansas City. So it'll be interesting to see how that situation plays out. You got guys like, as far as receivers go, you got guys like Mike Furry, Muhammad Massaquoi, Brian Robisky. So they've got some young receivers there. And then they also brought in Ben Watson from New England at tight end. So he should fit in there pretty nice. They've got a couple tight ends in there that should be able to help this team out. And then the line, they have a decent line also. Joe Thomas manning the left side. He's been one of the best tackles in the game, and he's very, very young, so he has the makings of a great career already. Problem is, they've kind of also been like one of those inconsistent teams, but that could definitely change this season. So, Eric Mangini as coach, and he was obviously he definitely had to have been on the hot seat in the beginning of the season, but I think he kind of saved his job with those 4 straight wins that Cleveland finished with. So I think this team is still a ways away from competing, but I don't know if they're going to be like very bad. They have a potential to win a few games, but I don't see them getting out of last place in the North. Moving on, we got Pittsburgh Steelers. Man, you look for one team that had the craziest offseason, and this is it. From Roethlisberger being accused of rape again, to Santonio Holmes, being accused of that bar fight, and the Steelers trading him, to the Steelers losing one of their top linemen, Willie Colon, for the season. This team has had a very, very bumpy offseason. On the plus side, though, Troy Polamalu is back. He's healthy. He's ready to go. And, this defense has always been one of the top defenses in the NFL. And I would expect that to stay the same this season. They did just lose to Shea Townsend. He signed with the Colts. But this team should still be, this defense should still be ready. They went out and drafted Marquise Pouncey in the first round, the center out of Florida, and that was definitely a key need because line was definitely their biggest weakness as far as the entire roster went. So they needed to go out and get a lineman, and this was a good choice because this kid can play center and guard, so they have a little bit of flexibility with him. As far as the rest of the offense goes, obviously Roethlisberger is out for at least the first 4 games, maybe the first 6 games. So right now it's a battle between Dennis Dixon and Byron Leftwich to see who's going to get that number 1 spot in Roethlisberger's absence. As far as wideouts go, like I said, they traded Santonio Holmes to the Jets, but I still think that they have good receivers because you look at who's going to replace Santonio Holmes, and that's going to be Mike Wallace. And this kid had a hell of a season last year, even as a number 3 guy. So this guy's definitely going to have a much better chance to be improved, being the number 2 guy behind Hines Ward. So if you're looking for a sleeper, any of you fantasy guys out there, I think this kid is one of them. This kid has definitely the chance to break out. Running backs, you got Mendenhall back, who was one of the top running backs last season, and I expect, especially in those first couple weeks that Roethlisberger is going to be out, I would expect Pittsburgh to go back to running the ball a lot more than they did last season. So that'll definitely help the production of Mendenhall. I see this team maybe as like an 8-8 team. I don't think they're going to. I think it's going to be tough, especially those games that they're going to be without Roethlisberger. They've got some tough ones in there. For one, they start the season against Atlanta. That's going to be, that right there is going to be a tough game. So I don't know if this team is going to have enough to be able to compete in this division or compete to get a wild card spot. So we'll just have to see what happens. Next team up is going to be Cincinnati Bengals. As you guys know by now, Cincy is now a media circus. Because, as we know, Terrell Owens is now in Cincinnati along with Chad Ochocinco, and of course both of them are reality stars on VH1. T.O. has the T.O. show, and Ochocinco has his own dating reality show on VH1. Of course, last season this team ran the table in the AFC North, 6-0 in the division, 10-6 overall. Obviously won the division, but was bounced in the wild card round by the Jets. Their breakout player clearly was Cedric Benson. Benson finally stepped up and finally showed why he was a top 5 pick in the draft a few years ago. And this team, I think, is definitely becoming more of a running team, so you should see a lot more Benson this season. But when they do decide to pass, Carson Palmer, of course, now has a lot of weapons to work with. Not just Ochocinco and T.O., but also they signed Antonio Bryant, who was with Tampa Bay last year. So those are 3 nice receivers for Carson Palmer to work with. The only thing is Bryant going to be healthy by the time the season starts? That's the main question. If not, they got a lot of guys to step in. So right now, I think they have about 11 receivers in training camp, including Andre Caldwell, and the guy that I want to see play a bit. I'm looking forward to watching, and that's the rookie Jordan Shipley out of Texas, the third-round pick. Um, and speaking of drafts, of course, their first-round pick was, the tight end out of Oklahoma, Jermaine Gresham. And that is what this team needed, was a good pass-catching tight end. Palmer never had one of those in his time in Cincinnati. He finally has it. So this team is loaded on offense, I believe, and definitely could make a run in this AFC North. And the defense, they're pretty much bringing back everyone from last season, and they had one of the top defenses last year. So this team, I think, can definitely challenge again for both a wild card and a division. And finally, the last team that I will talk about will be the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens last season, 9-7, made it to the playoffs, beat the Patriots in the first round, but then lost to the Colts in the divisional round. Another 1,000-yard season from Derek Mason. Another good season from Joe Flacco, although he was kind of inconsistent at times. But overall, it was still a productive year for him. Ray Rice, amazing season. One of the top rushers in the NFL, one of the best pass-catching running backs in the NFL. And that's another thing for you fantasy owners. If you're in a PPR league, this is one of the running backs to target, because this guy can catch a lot of catches out of the backfield. But they went out. They've improved their offense even more by trading for Anquan Bolden. So now Flacco has a big-time target to go to. They still have Derek Mason. They also brought in Dante Stallworth, who, of course, was suspended for last season because of his DUI manslaughter incident. So those are going to be the three receivers in Baltimore. Again, Ray Rice back. Willis McGahee there as well, who will probably get the goal line carries. Todd Heap is back, but they also went out and drafted 2 tight ends. Because let's face it, Heap's getting up there in age. You don't know how much he has left in the tank. So, and the defense, obviously this has always been one of the best defenses in the NFL. And it all starts right there in the middle of Ray Lewis. Hard-hitting, just one of the most feared but most respected players in the NFL. You got guys like Terrell Suggs joining him at linebacker. You got Loki Nada on the line. Questions, though, on the secondary. That's probably their weak point right now. Ed Reed's hurt right now, and we don't know how long he's going to be out. And Dominique Foxworth, one of their starting corners, tore his ACL during practice the other day and is now out for the season. So if there is going to be a weakness on this team, it is going to be in that secondary. But I think if they can shore up that secondary, I believe this team is the favorite in the AFC North. So that is it for today. Thanks for joining me here on this trek from the AFC North. Tomorrow we head south as we check out the AFC South. And so till next time, this is your boy Wild Bill saying add, rate, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And so long.